Hey, I'm so glad you could stop by for a tour of my sewing room. Come on in. Welcome to So Lounge. This is where the magic happens. My sewing room is always changing and evolving depending on what I'm working on, and let's face it, my mood. Today I'm going to tell you about the different stories behind the things in different parts of my room. If you've watched any of my step-by-step sewing videos, you probably are familiar with this view of my sewing room. I usually set up my ironing board right here to do ironing demonstrations, and you probably didn't realize that there were books on all the shelves on the bottom half of this bookcase. Now, I love books. I am a total book person. I can spend hours at a bookstore, and my whole house has books in it. So my living room and dining room have bookshelves filled with books, and of course my sewing room is no exception. Now, most of my sewing, design, and textile books are in this room, so they are available for ready reference. I started my collection with my textbooks from college, slowly started picking up some how-to books, some different tips, and specific techniques for design and illustration and pattern making and all that good stuff. And of course, I've gotten them as gifts. Now, if you're not aware, Half Price Books is a fantastic source for vintage sewing books and design books. They also have great books on fashion designers, how to wear clothes, how to style your clothes. Like there's a treasure trove of things there. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to go do that. The best part is that it's constantly changing, so you never know what's going to be there. So it's always worth the time and effort. Now, I bought this Vogue sewing book back in college. It is a kind of a reference book, so you can flip through it and look up specific techniques that you need. And just last month, I went back to the Half Price Books that's here in Houston and bought almost the exact same book because I wasn't sure if I had it, and then I wasn't sure if it was the exact same book. It's not, thankfully, but it's another really cool, slightly updated version of the older one, and it's always good to have multiple reference books. Moving up the bookshelf, I have a collection of little things, or tchotchkes, or cositas, as my grandma likes to call them, and they're just little souvenirs of places I've been or events that have made an impression on me. And one of my favorites is this little lady from Bruges who is making lace. And we lived in Belgium for 2.5 years when I was a kid. And whenever anyone came to visit, we'd always go to Bruges. It was like a big tourist spot. And the ladies would sit in front of the lace shops making lace for everybody to see and take pictures of. We didn't have iPhones back then, so no videos. But I wasn't into textiles or lace making or sewing or any of that back then because I was only 7, 8 years old. And I didn't fully appreciate what was happening. But I made an impression on me. So I still remember it even all these years later. And at some point I'll have to go back and actually see if they're still doing that and get some video, because it would be absolutely fascinating to see now that I have a full appreciation of it. But I have my little lace making lady, and I like to keep her here on my shelf. Another thing I absolutely love is this little sewing skeleton. I got this on a trip with my parents to Oaxaca, and who can resist a skeleton sewing? They make all kinds of these little ceramic things with various professions, but once I found the sewing one, it had to come home with me. Moving up to the very top shelf, this is my homage to natural fibers. I have some cotton here. I have a little cotton bale back here that I got at the Burton Cotton Gin here in Central Texas. And then I have borrowed my sister's little sheep, who is made from wool from Argentina. He was a purchase by her when we were down in Patagonia. So he gets to hang out here on the shelf with me. And last but not least is this really cool, really heavy iron that I borrowed from my boyfriend. It was his great-grandmother's. It is very heavy. I think this thing's close to 10 pounds, maybe a little bit more. I probably shouldn't keep it on the top shelf because if it falls off and hits me, it's going to really hurt. But it's just so cool, and he just had it in a box, and I was like, let me put it in my sewing room so everyone can see it. So now you guys can. These are the old school kind that you would heat in the fire. There are no coals or anything, so you just put it nearby, let it heat up, and then use it to iron clothing. Exciting stuff, but so glad and thankful for my electric iron. So this is the side of my room you never see. This is the side wall that goes along the front of my house, and there's a window over there that Honey likes to sleep in front of. And I have my concert posters up here, and then a local Houston artist who is very graphic, very pop art, and I have that just all up because I like the color, but I also had a really good time at the shows, and I like to think about that and listen to music while I sew, and it all just goes to inspire me and to make me feel creative and like I'm accomplishing something. Now, there is a bookcase down here, which is a little hard to see. Let me maneuver this out of the way. So you can see that there's another bookcase down here. This top is all fashion illustration books and drawing and all that kind of stuff. And then the bottom is more technical pattern making and draping books. So more textbooks are on this shelf than the other bookshelf. But one thing I want to point out is that I have these chest of drawers, but only single chest of drawers, and I use them for fabric storage. So this is my original fabric storage system, which worked really well until I filled everything up and needed more space. But one thing I want to show you today is what is in the bottom drawer. So let's go in for a closer look. So this bottom drawer is where I keep all of my silk. So I don't know why I have so much silk. I know that I've bought it on trips, but then my mom bought me a ton when she went on a trip. But what I want to show you is the very first piece of fabric I ever bought was this gorgeous peacock blue raw silk. I got this in Thailand. Thankfully, my parents like to travel and they would take us with them. And I bought this when I was in college, but before I started fashion design. So I did not buy very much of it. I think I might have enough to make a skirt or maybe a jacket that's not too complicated. So I absolutely love this silk. I've been hauling it around with me for quite some time and have not made it up into anything yet. So maybe one day soon we will find a project that is appropriate and I will finally get to put this gorgeous Thai silk to use. Along with pictures of my family and friends, I have some buttons in jars. Now, you may think that's a little weird, but buttons in jars make me very happy. And back when I was little, my mom used to have one of these jars. I think these are like spice jars. I can't remember what they called them, but it's a certain type with this kind of top. And she just put random buttons in there and I just absolutely loved it. Like, this is all pre-sewing. I was probably like 5 years old. And ever since then, I just have this compulsion to put buttons into jars. And that's how I like to store my loose and random buttons. And they just make me happy. And I keep them out because I want to see them and just get that happy button feeling. Moving down the front wall of my house, this is the window that overlooks my front yard. Honey is down here taking a nap as usual. And while I'm not a big curtain person, I am very proud of these curtains. These are the first curtains that I ever made with my grandma. Now, I've only made 2 sets of curtains in my life. They were both with my grandma, and so while I do not love making curtains, I do have very fond memories of this, and it was a lot of fun to use her expertise in curtain making to actually make some of my own. Now, my grandma is a genius when it comes to fractions and seam allowances and getting the exact amount of fabric you need, getting everything sewn perfectly, and these curtains are absolutely gorgeous. They are lined. There is a hem on the bottom on the inside. Everything looks super professional. I will probably never make curtains this great again just because it was a lot of work, and I don't know that grandma would be up to doing that again at this point in time. But another reason I absolutely love these curtains is because of the fabric. Now, this is one of the reasons I say that my sewing room style is eclectic pop art. Because of these curtains, they are a huge focal point in this room. And this fabric is Alexander Henry. The name of it is Home Sewing is Easy. And while I was making these curtains, my grandma and I were bonding over stories of her time using her Singer Featherweight, which is the sewing machine featured in the print. And she just told me funny stories of when my grandfather bought her the machine and the thousands of miles of fabric she's sewn on it back in the day. And one day we'll make a video with the featherweight and grandma so she can tell you those stories and I'll record them for posterity. But I'm gonna grab the camera, we're gonna go in for a closer look so you can just see how funny this fabric is. And it's just everything that my grandma always says. And it's just really cool and I love it. And I just think of her every time I look at it, and she loves it too. Every time she comes over, we talk about the time we made curtains. So let me grab that and we'll take a closer look. So this is the title panel of the fabric, Home Sewing is Easy, and it keeps the home fires burning. So that is a little Singer Featherweight shown in there, which came out, I believe, in like 1945, 46. My grandma said it was the newest thing. It was super lightweight and everybody wanted one, and my grandfather bought one for her. Some of the other fun things are, I love this one because it reminds me of the two of them. She always looked very stylish and they were quite a good looking couple when they stepped out on the town. And then this is the other one that I think is just really funny. She always got compliments because she was so well dressed and nobody could believe that she made it herself. So I just love this fabric and I love my grandma, obviously. So this is the wall you are most familiar with. This is where I'm always sewing because this is where the sewing cabinet is. And I got this sewing cabinet from Arrow Cabinets. I do not think they make this exact model anymore, which is a shame because it's a fantastic sewing cabinet. There is a second little piece under here which rolls out and then will make an L shape. I store my serger underneath down here, and I'm gonna hold that open with my foot. And then you can pull it all out, have the serger here, have the sewing machine here, and just go back and forth. It's a fantastic design. And if you can find one like this, go buy it now. It's so useful. It's just so well designed and to be like so space efficient. And then it all closes up into like the tiny cabinet. And so on this side is more thread and stuff like that. And then this will all fold up. This is another, just a leaf here that just comes out. And then you can lift that up, close it all down into a cabinet, and it's just super clean. It makes the room look nice and tidy when it's all picked up. I am in the process of sewing my July makes, so I was doing that just before you came by to say hi. On the wall back here are a bunch of cork boards. I love using cork boards to decorate because I can constantly change them. And as I mentioned, my mood is changing. Whatever I'm working on is constantly changing. And I like the flexibility of just being able to like change things out. I do really love everything that's up there right now, which is why it's been up there for a while. But at some point I'm going to get back to drawing and fashion illustrating, and then maybe you'll see some new things. So keep an eye out for that. Another thing I love about having cork boards is I can put my sewing instructions right where I can see them. That way I don't lose them. They don't fall off and go under the back of the cabinet. So it's very easy, very accessible. And then I also have needles for hand sewing stuck in my cork board. I have my tape measure up there until Clementine pulls it down. And I just have inspiration and things that I love and things I just like looking at that make me happy. So let's take a look. I am a little sad to say that none of this art is recent. This is some of the work I did back in graduate school when I briefly majored in fashion design at Savannah College of Art and Design. I was really into Versace when I designed these items, and I designed the fabric, which was part of my Atomic collection, which was based on nuclear war. In hindsight, probably not the best idea or topic, but I was just into that at the time. So that is what I like to look at. I love the design. I love the way the shadows turned out. I'm really proud of this artwork. And that's why I have it there to look at. Plus it's all the colors I like. So it all works out. Also are some fabric scraps. Let me pull these out of the way. I got this postcard at like a bar somewhere back in college, and I've always liked it and the idea it evokes. It's just kind of like out west, kind of vintage, and then I have this desert sky in the background. I just like looking at, this is another desert photo from an artist I like in Marathon. Clementine's coming to inspect because of course I've got this. All right, Clemmy, let's get out of the way. Moving over, this is a design I did based on a project called Colors of the Indus, which was an exhibit that I saw in London. And it is based on a sari that I picked up on my travels. This is my, in a past life, I lived in Atlantis mood board. We're gonna move Clemmy out of the way. There we go, Clemmy. And that was part of my, what did I call that collection? I can't remember. It was an illustration collection. It wasn't actually anything I made, but I really like that. And I like looking at it, even though it's from 2000. Let's not talk about that. Let's keep going. This is another one from my mood board. I think this one was based on Tibet and Shangri-La. And I think it was called Lost Horizons. That's what my collection was called that I didn't actually ever sew, but I designed it. These are some more designs that I just liked. They are silhouettes, just pretty kind of evening wear. I did those in a watercolor pencil, so you can kind of see the shading and everything. We have the faux Hermes clock from my boyfriend, and we have some more art and inspiration over here. These are some more designs I did back in college. And these are some that I did as well. I love these girls. It took me like 3 hours to draw these 3 girls. It was just kind of crazy, but fun. It was fun for sure. Then I've got some more digital art that I scanned and then put the fabric in. I actually did make that in college. And then this is a more recent drawing that I did of a painting here in Houston when we went on an art retreat, Art Saturday. So this is the wall that you will never see in any of my videos because it is the least aesthetically pleasing. That is the door that you came in from. You have seen all the other walls as we have worked our way around the room, and I just wanted to make sure your tour was complete, so you got this interior wall with the closet that is pretty much a disaster. Now, I recently purchased this thread cabinet. My local Joann's is closing and all their fixtures were for sale, and I didn't know that was going to happen, and I got super excited. So I did buy this for a mere $25. So y'all know why I couldn't pass it up. $25, come on, that's like practically free. And it doesn't have much thread in it because I have to clean it. It is extremely dusty and I want to take out everything, clean it really well, and then put it all back together before I add my thread. Other things to note on this wall are my cutting table, which the lead sides drop down. I usually put that in the middle of the room when I'm doing my cutting so I can get all the way around it. It just makes the whole process so much faster, being able to just cut from all sides. But I usually leave it over here when I'm sewing. That way, if I need to cut something or press something, bang, whoops, there we go. I can just pull up one of the sides and do whatever I need to do. Okay, I took the door off of my closet because it was always in the way. I never closed it, and it was just much easier to get the table here closer to the wall. It looks much nicer and everything else. So let's go into the closet and I'll kind of talk you through what's going on, my attempt at organization, and plans for the future. So this is the sewing closet. It is pretty much a basic closet. There are the hanging rail. I have pattern boxes full of patterns up here. There's some interfacing up there on the top. There is alpha shelving down the middle because this used to be my sister's room when she lived with me. So she put in alpha shelving for her closet, and then it's just stayed when she moved into her own apartment. And then here is more plastic bin storage that I use for notions and trims and Velcro elastic, all that good stuff. So coming down, I have some hanging clothes of recent projects I've worked on. Currently, my extra fabric is in these big bins. So I have big bins down there. There's some on the bottom. There's patterns down here that are recent purchases that have not made it into boxes because I've run out of space. I have some little shelves over here with things that need to be, I don't know, I need to do some creative projects in these frames and then put them on the walls. So I have more storage down here. And then I have these clear plastic pattern holders, which were actually for greeting cards. I got them at Michael's. They're kind of expensive, but if you can get them on sale, they're a good deal. So more patterns. Let's talk about, okay, so these are all my sewing boxes. They have thread. This bottom blue one is art supplies, but that's thread, that's thread. So that's all gonna move out into the thread cabinet. Coming up, we have all my serger cone thread, and then there's more crafting and embroidery project stuff, tools and fabrics and everything up at the very, very top. Kind of stuffed in, which you can't really tell. I have an assortment of sewing machines back there in the corner. So this blue one, that's a Bernina that I got from a friend of mine. She was selling it for a really good price, and I know I'll never be able to find another Bernina that cheap. Down here in the black box is my grandma's Singer Featherweight. So that will be coming out soon. And then behind that is a Singer Slant-O-Matic in that brown box, which I got from a friend of mine. So I'm hoping to redo this closet so that things are more accessible and I can actually see things and use them. The last thing I want to share with you before we end this tour are my embroideries. Now, I started embroidering when I was watching Bridgerton season 1. I think we all can agree that's the best because of the Duke. Now, I was watching that, and everybody's always got some kind of work in their hands or doing needlepoint or something or other. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to do some of that? So I found these little needlepoint embroidery projects at Target for $3. And I thought, hey, I can make that look a lot better. So if you saw these at Target, they may not have looked this good because I added a whole bunch more thread, but that was endeavor number 1. Then I made these cute little cacti down here, endeavor number 2. I have some more going in the bins that I just showed you, but third thing that I really like is this denim kind of art project. This was another Saturday at the Museum of Fine Arts, and it was a kind of scrap denim montage. I don't know, but I really liked it. I thought it was fun. It was some hand sewing, and I got to hang out with my friend and talk to other people who were also into sewing and handwork. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I really enjoyed showing you my sewing room and all the little fun artifacts that make it special and make it mine. I'd love to hear what you think and how you decorate your sewing room, so be sure to leave a comment below. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a stitch. Until next time, happy sewing! Don't go! There's another great video coming up next. You're definitely going to want to watch this one.